Hey everyone, King Snow here.
This is Castle.
Sean.
William.
For Lightspeed Saber League, world's fastest light-based fencing, and as you all know, the trailer for Rise of Skywalker just came out, so we are going to chat about it and see what we can figure out from the teaser, and make some speculations, and chat about what we're looking forward to seeing. So let's just go ahead and watch the trailer real quick, and then we will give you our impressions.
Where do we start?
Did you guys watch the stream when they actually premiered that? For those of you who didn't see it, after they played that and the lights came on, Ian McDiarmid was on stage and everyone was freaking out. And he goes, "Roll it again!" And then they just play it again. It was really cool.
And everyone just cheered. I cheered.
When I first heard the laughter, I actually wasn't sure who it was at first. Yeah, because I hadn't heard it in a while. You know?
Yeah.
So that was really cool because he's actually one of my favorite characters in the whole saga. Actually,
He had to tell me there was laughter at the end because I was so focused on the fact that there was a Death Star. I was like, did it decay in orbit? Are we in Endor? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice.
Okay. So here's why I had a problem, because I was watching the stream and it wasn't coming in very well. So when she was talking about the Death Star piece, like I didn't even know what she was talking about because
it was a sort of
I just saw this thing in the back. I'm like, okay, I guess they're going to like a mountain or something. I was like, I had no idea what they were going to. So.
Star Wars taking the hobbits to Isengard.
All right, so why don't we get all right, so let's see. Why don't we just give our brief impressions so far? Will, why don't you start?
I gotta say I am intrigued. It does raise a lot of questions without giving anything away, which I really like, actually. Basically, in the beginning, the TIE Striker, the new TIE Striker variant, I think. But like, you just see black gloves. I want to say it's Kylo Ren, but it could just be a Knight of Ren.
Yeah.
I find it very interesting, just from a Force thing, that they're very insistent. It's like, thousands of generations of teachings now live on in a way that it doesn't quite feel like Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely feels almost like Luke is talking about even beyond the Order itself, and just is
something more
thousands, so many,
related.
Just because
she didn't get that much training, literally.
Yeah, and that would certainly explain and tie up a lot of the loose ends around the Force stuff, because we know that you can give prior training, and it may never pop up unless it's pulled out. And it would explain the mirror scene. Thousands and thousands of similar versions of herself.
That's good, yeah. Impressions? Initial impressions.
My initial impressions were really mixed. Like, I felt like what I was visually seeing and what the over-speech was and what then the title of the film was, my brain went 3 different directions, and so initially I just kind of felt like overwhelmed and a little bit confused and mildly concerned. That was my initial impression, was like, oh dear, where are we going? Like, this is not cohesive at all.
Slow down!
Well, I mean, it was sort of like we had this really long intro scene, which was, that's fine. Like, it shows us some stuff, it doesn't give things away, the costume has changed a bit, we now have a collar and a hood, I get that we're drawing in the Jedi references, that's all fine. Then we kind of do this Matrix-y thing, and I'm like, oh, that's not how we film Star Wars. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. And then it's like they're like, okay, we're gonna distract you from the fact that we threw some Matrix-y stuff in there by showing you all of the people that you love, and let's just close up on Leia because we're all gonna have the feels and we're all gonna cry. And I was like, dang it! And then you get to the end, and you're like, how did the Death Star end up on this planet? And then you're it. And then, again, I totally even missed the laughter because I was so focused on the visuals the first time. And then they're like, the Rise of Skywalker, and I'm like, but there's one left. I mean, at the start of the film, obviously there's 2 left, but Leia's on her way out. we kind of know. So there's 1 left. So I mean, I feel like my brain's like, I can't keep track of all the things, so my first thoughts were just like, whoa. Like, I wasn't excited and I wasn't, like, horrified. I was just like, these things are all pointing different directions.
Yeah.
So after kind of watching it and, like, listening to stuff and kind of seeing where they're trying, I think, like you guys have mentioned, they're trying to do tie-ins with kind of more of, like, the outside stuff they've been doing. I'm a little bit more like, okay, like, maybe there's a master plan. I hope there's a master plan. But my initial thought was like, oh, I hope it's not just kind of sort of Star Wars adjacent. Like, I felt like Episode 8, it just, like, the humor was so off. Like, it was just, like, it didn't quite feel like Star Wars. Like, like 7 felt like Star Wars, but I understand that a lot of people's complaints were that we did not get a new movie. It was just the original Star Wars with new characters.
Yeah.
And then, 8 totally just didn't do that at all, but, like, it didn't really feel like we were in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess my biggest hope is that we, like, feel like we're in Star Wars again.
Yeah.
Like, if they can just end on that note, I think it will be okay.
Yeah. I think there's. I definitely understand the sense of apprehension. I'm actually someone who's very ambivalent about I'm pulled in very different directions. I think Force Awakens was very, very consistent. I really value novelty and risk taking though, so that's why I like Last Jedi a lot. But the humor was definitely wrong for the Star Wars series, in my opinion. And I think personally, I feel that was the overarching problem. Actually, if they just didn't have that issue, all the other issues wouldn't
just
have
been swept away.
Well, they wouldn't have noticed it. I don't think anyone would have. All the other complaints people had about throwing away the old stuff, about the politics of it, about the humor, all of that would be gone if the humor just was consistent with the normal universe, in my opinion. But anyway, it is J.J. Abrams, and I think he's definitely got talent. He's not the kind of talent that I appreciate very much.
Well, he's proven extremely. I mean,
he's
all
certainly
of his movies,
competent.
He's very competent, but he's what was it that some film reviewer said it about when he did the Star Trek movie? It was he's painfully ADHD.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, look at all these pretty visuals, look at all this stuff, and then he sort of loses track of his own continuity.
Oh yeah, no, well, the moment the moment they announced JJ for it, I was like, oh no, this is not good, because
he doesn't know how to do an ending. Like, he's really good at beginnings.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've never seen him stick the land. Like, he
Exactly.
never sticks
And I think that really is.
All right, so let's bring it back to the trailer here. Now that we've all shared our hopes and fears, how do we predict that they're going to handle Leia in this movie?
They will have to be careful because I don't think no one anticipated Carrie Fisher to pass away, and I don't know if they might bring Luke back because you still need at least one of the original cast members to be in this new trilogy that they're making, right?
Well, I think Luke will be there as a Force ghost. Like, I mean, I think they had him do the voiceover for a reason. Like, I'm pretty sure. It's like, if you look at the third of all of them, I mean, we have Force ghosts. They come back. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have Force ghost Luke.
But Force Ghost Leia?
Well, I think at least in the old books, that sort of explains the in-between of, like, how Qui-Gon, like, dealt with the whole Force Ghost and taught it to Obi-Wan. There was, I believe, a book that talked about that. And it's the light side way is, more of a, you come to terms with the world as it is, and you sort of like, all right, I realize that, like, there's very little I can do to control things. I realize the world is the way it is, and I'm sort of at peace with it. In a very Buddhist, like, meditation state of you give up all the worldly attachments. You're like, it's fine. It will be fine. I can trust it to be fine because the Force and the world will bring about the world as it will bring it about.
So it's sort of like reaching enlightenment in a way
Right.
that allows you to Force ghost, which, like, if that's the requirement, I think Leia could get there, perhaps.
I think Leia was honestly has been closer to that than almost
anyone
except for maybe Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be upset if she came back. I just wish that they had kept that
Fleshed it out.
just because it would have been a nice nod to the books. I know it's not canon anymore. I know we got rid of it, but it just would have been a nice
technically,
nod.
Lucas got rid of that particular section of
Yeah.
stuff back in the EU.
I know.
So it's like it's even more awkward because everyone's like, if they just followed the books, but even Lucas didn't follow the books.
No.
Lucas cut out 3/4 of the books when he made the original trilogy, and people were acting like he didn't do that. It's not Disney's fault.
Apparently, it's been in the works for Palpatine to make a return in Episode 9 for quite a while. At least that's what they say. That's what Kathleen Kennedy said recently, actually. So that means they must have thought about this for some time, actually. So obviously they've been thinking about
the Phantom Menace is the Phantom Menace.
An interesting perspective, yeah. Well, that's a good point because does this mean he comes back as a Force ghost? Does this mean that he survived? Does it mean that he's a clone or something? What do you guys think?
Well, I do
What do you think,
remember George said that he didn't want dark side users to be Force ghosts, but in the last season that came out from the Clone Wars, the saved episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember Darth Bane made an appearance
As a Force aberration.
as a Force aberration. Maybe
Hmm.
difference could be that Force Ghost light side allows you to be at peace and appear everywhere where you are needed, but Force Ghost dark side, you are chained and bound to a location or a certain thing.
Maybe kind of like a Horcrux.
Probably a little bit more.
Yeah, where you had to kind of leave your soul on Earth, sort of a thing.
So, at least in EU,
that means that if they're going to the site of the where a lot of Death Star's components crashed, then if he exists haunting a space, then that may be very well where they're going to find him. Actually,
I mean, they did overlay the laughter with that. I'm assuming that's why they're going to the crashed Death Stars to find answers about Palpatine, or talk to Palpatine, or look for...
Talk to Palpatine.
Well,
we're going to give him a start talking to.
Yeah. Well, and you have to remember
That's
that
what Luke did. He's like, I'm going to go talk to them. And everybody's like, you're stupid. But yeah.
he does it.
He does it.
In as far as EU goes, we have Bane, who can apparate, and we had another guy who can apparate. A lot of it is...
But it's apparently not the same as Force.
It's not the same as Force.
It's not the same.
And they can actually forcibly inhabit bodies.
Oh, okay.
Because they can't, they have to.
That would be interesting.
They're stuck to a location type thing, or they're stuck in their lightsaber.
Oh.
So I can't remember who had the single-handed saber that had blades on both sides, but Exar Kun in the EU.
Yeah.
His lightsaber was considered cursed because it had so much of his dark side and his hatred and his manipulation and his soul to it that it would literally just corrupt people into Exar Kun.
Wow.
So we can only
and they had to lock it up in multiple layers of stuff, and even then it wasn't safe.
Wow.
So
so I think that would actually be a really cool manifestation if he was possessing somebody,
Yeah.
He was basically occupying somebody's body.
Or he's
that involves
or what if he's trying to take over Kylo Ren or something like that?
I think that and the whole
perhaps
Snoke
he probably
aspect,
already has. Or something
he could have taken over Snoke.
Yeah.
For all we know, Snoke could have just been this outsider that he took the body of.
Yeah.
And that would explain how Snoke had known the rise and the fall of the Jedi and everything.
Clearly, Rey is gifted.
Right.
She's she has a natural affinity for combat and the lightsaber, and she's able to do things with the Force that without having really been trained in it very much.
Right.
And clearly, she was the one. Clearly, she was of great interest to Snoke, right? And in fact, I think if he felt he could turn her, he probably would have taken her over Ren. In fact, right?
Arguably, that was seemingly probably the plan.
Yeah, maybe that was the plan. So now, with that in mind, isn't it actually, if it comes down this road that we're looking at some kind of possession, or at the very least, some kind of turning, the real target is going to have to be Rey, actually, right? If he's going to try to like take anybody or corrupt anybody, it's probably going to have to be Rey, right?
Well, that sort of depends on whether we get Kylo Ren removed, and then the Skywalker becomes a title or a mantle of like a legend type mantle, rather than like the name of the Jedi was. Rather than the Jedi, we have the Skywalker Order or something. Because, you know, Kylo is so out of it. He's like literally, like we see him in, you know, The Last Jedi, as like this manic, like lost touch with all reality type character.
That or else it's going to have to be something where Kylo really does fulfill the like Vader role, and he completely turns, probably in some sort of a, you know, maybe he refines Palpatine, and so she has to stop him, and she tries to bring him back, like have the same redemption story. I don't think that would be satisfying for anyone, because we've had that story, and with Luke and Vader, like the father-son relationship really made it impactful. But I think if we, with like Rey and Ren, I mean, because of what happened in The Last Jedi, they're not related. You know, like they kind of kiboshed that. They're like, she's just a weird anomaly, and you know, he's from the line of Skywalker. So, you know, you don't have the family relationship thing. I mean, they kind of like are like, oh, like, do they have the hots for each other? But like, they don't have it's not like Han and Leia. Like, you didn't see this relationship build up over 2 movies to the point where like, you know, it's not going to be a love story where she like convinces him to
and if it is, it's some sort of horribly manipulative, abusive relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the weird relationship that Anakin and Padme had, which nobody was really satisfied with that either.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the sort of thing where they haven't earned her flipping him for any reason other than trying to convince him to be good for the sake of
being good.
Like, I feel like that's kind of like that they left that open as a possibility for where the story
he
could
might
go.
protect her, though. I mean, even if he doesn't turn, because just because you're a Sith doesn't mean you don't love people. It doesn't mean you don't care about people. You know, it's just that you know you're very selective, though. You only care about your tribe. You know, whoever you consider to be within your tent. You know,
and the Sith are considered to be more. They want to feel emotional, like Jedi, who kind of like try to disconnect from emotion.
Yeah.
Except I just don't know how to control their emotions.
Yeah. So my point being is that even if he doesn't turn, I could see him wanting to protect her, though. You know, and if he's a villain and Palpatine's a villain, and there's 2 villains in the movie, then you know those villains are going to crash into each other.
Yeah,
you know? and I think Rey could definitely be the focal point.
Arguably. Rey will, or, you know, just the fact that Palpatine has survived for so long, potentially, through, like, sheer spite, would make him so powerful that, you know, he may be locked to that Death Star, but he has unlimited power. In a way that unlimited power. Like, we honestly do not have a reference for, you know, just how powerful he could have become, because we know through Rebels how much he was interested in doing exercises and stuff with Sith alchemy and all this stuff, and he wanted to get into the time verse. And arguably, that could be the only reason he survived, is that could be the only open portal left, is the one he forcibly created on the Death Star. So he could just be trapped in time, for all we know.
So it's possible that
the whole thing does feel like a bit like a time warp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that Ren could sacrifice himself to save everybody, which would, if we assume that Leia's going to not survive to the end of the film, which I think is a good assumption, then Ren would be the last Skywalker, and if he sacrifices himself, then we're in a universe that doesn't have a Skywalker anymore. So,
Right, and it's become such a mantle. Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Someone
let's
needs to
talk
stop.
about that.
And we see Rey crying with Leia in a way that seems like another loss.
Mm.
It's very reminiscent of The Force Awakens when she has to come back and tell her that Han is dead.
Yeah. Considering that Rey is the main character, and the movie is called The Rise of Skywalker, to me this strongly implies that she's supposed to be a Skywalker. Because how can you have this
it could
movie
be-
called that and she's the main character, but
It
it's going to
could
be
go back to that
somebody
being
else?
just a title. I don't remember if it was the like a name any YouTubers, Spontaneous Wave or Star Wars Theory talked about the one of the Thrawn books, the canon ones, where Thrawn had him go on a mission with Anakin, and he was interested on his last name because the chess there's like knowledge of Force sensitives, and there is a technique they use to travel through space called Skywalker.
No?
So maybe Skywalker was not Anakin's actual last name, or Shmi Skywalker wasn't her last name. It could be like a title that was
bestowed
bestowed there. And
that
they
would
just
be interesting.
treated it like a last name because he didn't have a last name.
Okay, so this rounds back to what you guys were saying a little bit, right?
Might be a mantle or a title or.
I mean, and then that could make sense because, you know, if Anakin really was like a manifestation of the Force, and Rey is a manifestation of the Force, then maybe they actually are related in a way that, you know, isn't necessarily through blood, but through something else.
Yeah.
Purpose.
Because I just don't think of Ben as a Skywalker, you know, even though he has Skywalker blood. I just don't. I mean, obviously it would make sense.
Right.
But I think, first of all, it would be a shame because he's not the star, which so would be strange.
Right.
And then second, I just don't perceive him as a Skywalker, period, you know? And then, of course, the only logical other person I can think of is Luke, but then, again, it's so weird to have it focusing on him.
Yeah.
Because
You know.
his time, I mean, that was kind of, I
His
feel
time
like
is gone.
the
You know?
point
Yeah.
of, The Last Jedi was that he was the last Jedi. So maybe if you look at the titles together, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, maybe the Jedi is no longer a title. Maybe now it's Skywalker as a title.
Yeah, they may just transition it so that they're free from the.
That would be
mistakes of the
really
past.
cool.
And,
That would be
and
pretty
I
cool.
think that would also make sense with the voiceover about like how, you know, everybody's like a product of all this past and this history,
Mhm.
but like
It's up to you now.
yeah,
to
like it's
decide
kind
the
of
fate
this
of the future.
new era.
All right. Anyway, that's it for our discussion for today. Let us know what you think in the comments. Who do you think the Skywalker is that the teaser? Who do you think the Skywalker is that the title refers to? How do you think Leia is going to manifest in the movie, and how do you think she might have to leave the series, sadly? And how do you think Palpatine is going to be showing up in this movie as well? Talk in the comments, and we'll respond to all your questions and comments. Anyway, this has been Keg Snow
Castle.
Sean.
William.
for Lightspeed Saber League. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey everyone, Keg Snow here. Just want to thank you for watching our video, and to remind you to always do Lightspeed Saber fencing with the proper equipment. Now, I'm not just talking fencing gloves and a mask. I'm also talking the Lightspeed blade. You can get these along with shirts, jackets, and patches at lightspeedsaber.com. There you'll also find our competition rules, techniques, and a fighter map showing affiliated clubs and schools and individuals near you, so you can add yourself to the map and get together with others and form your own training base. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for your support.